Lua, Orisha Lua. He was the one God prophetically told to lead those that wanted to be rescued onto the mountain where they had erected an ark on the mountain top. Bible will say that God told Noah, here we don't believe that any Noah anywhere. It was Lua. And the Bible said he created an ark on the water. Of course, when you look at the nature of that rain, even the wind alone could have blown up the ark. So what really happened was that God instructed Lua to go onto the mountain of Ark. The mountain is still there. You will be seeing it from the yes, sir. So, and he read a small building that could serve as a refuge for those that were rescued. So only those that listed survived. And that's why till today, when we are forming the second dynasty, those that were rescued from flood came down and they started the new world. And that new world was, of course, charismatically led by Lua. And that was why till today, our Omo Yoruba, we call ourselves Omo Luwabi, Omo Ti Luwabi, because many of them, several of them became orphans, because of the flood. And we were only referring to themselves as Omo, we are the children of Lua. Lua became their mother and their father. And that's why something is very significant there, obedience and discipline. And that's why today, only obedient children and disciplined children, the father and mother refer to as Omo. So that's why Omo has become our headstone in Yoruba. We started it. So, and this, of course, era also survived for thousands of years until this environment no longer contained them. They were recording overpopulation. And then then Ooni Council felt, okay, there should be a policy, expansionist policy. We must discover the vastness of our land. And so they now adopted migration as a policy implementation tool for that expansionist policy. So migration now came, and that was why they now started migrating out of Ife. This continent. Go eastward. When you meet first river, second river, third river, stay by the river bank. That's why you're going to be staying. You go to where there's large concentration of mountains. Ikiti, Tokiti, then be calling yourself Ikiti. You be going, Ibiti Levati Yoyi. If I knew nothing, they will consult the okay. If I know I'm do Jadi, that's why today, sir. There is no ancient town created from Ife that is not powered by one Odu or the other. Kò sí ní ẹ̀dá nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àbí ìlú tí ó bá ṣe ìlú àtijọ́. Àwọn ìlú tó yẹ kó àwọn gómìnà kan dálẹ̀. Àwọn ìlú àtijọ́ bí Ọ̀tà, bí Ìbàdàn, bí Ọ̀yọ́, ó ní Odù tó dá wọn lẹ̀. Yorùbá nígbà tó kúrò fẹ́ wọ́n béèrè lọ́wọ́ Ọ̀fà. Òkè báwọn àwọn èèyàn ṣe fẹ́ rìn o. Tí ẹranko gbogbo nípa tó bá rìn sí ìlú wa sọ fún pé ẹ̀rọ ìrọ̀. So inú Odù yẹn, anytime táwọn ìlú yẹn bá ti ní problem Odù yẹn náà máa lọ ń ṣètò. So now, then they now changed the name of the town to Ife Akanbebe. What's the meaning of Ife Akanbebe? Ife that creates other kingdoms. Akanbebe means portioning. Ife that started portioning land for a better vision of the territory. And that's why today we have Ife Odai, Ife Oyilabo, Ife Akanbebe, Ife Odai, Ife of the first creation. That's Ife Odai, Ife Oyilabo, Ife of the survivors of the turbulence. Àwọn tó yìí nù lásìgbò ní Oyèlágbò lásìgbò kí ni lásìgbò ìkùn táwọn olè táwọn European people came, they came here, stole our history, then when I packaged to us, that's just the simple thing. So when we talk about leadership and democracy, you know that our forefathers had operated it. Here you have Ooni Council. Now Ooni Council started with just nine members, with Ooni himself being the head. But at a point, Ooni could not longer always have his way, because all of the members of the council were also kings in their own right. You know, if it was an amalgamated, so they were kings. In fact, they actually owned the land. They just made Ooni the overall leader. They control various sections of Ife. So, and they all got one vote each. including on himself. So he could not, decision making became very difficult for Ooni. He now made a suggestion at a council meeting that why can't we expand our cabinet to be so that governance can be more participatory. Of course, they bought into it. They didn't know where it was going. So they now expanded the cabinet to include some who is who within the solar society. Creme de la creme, Olowo, Jagun. They brought all of them. And they also promoted some servants within the palace hierarchy to that council. But sir, something is noted here. All of these people were appointees. They were not contemporaries of Ooni, unlike those ones. So whenever there will be decision making, these people automatic votes. Wherever Ooni goes, he must go. They are appointed by the Ooni and they can be fired by the Ooni. Does not need government intervention to fire them. So, and that's why we say, okay, when they say the organ corporate leadership or the government is not correct, this is pure democracy. One vote each. Only has 8 votes here automatically. So you just put one vote from this side and you get it right. So this represents, of course, this represents this cap. This is not the cap. Does not really. It's not crown. It's not the area itself. These two authorities. They are the symbol of authority. These two things. So anytime there will be another Ooni, of course, they go to the mountain aura to get this and then fix it. And this is just a cap. Anything can make a cap. But this is Ari. These two things. These are the things Oduduwa came with. And then put it on the ground and made it right. These are the kings of the third dynasty of Ife that ruled Ife so far. Beginning from Oduduwa, we have Oba before. Osun Obamakin, who is the ancestor of Olugbo in Odo State. He is a guide, descendant of Ogun. That's why there are times makes first place that is the owner of Ife. Yes, sir. The Oguntu also ruled in Ife as an Ooni. The Ogun was created by Oba before. This Oba before is also very significant in the history of the Yoruba. Oba before refused to die. He was on the throne for a very long time. When you tell the Christians or Muslims who come here that Oba lived and reigned for almost 20,000, almost 2,000 years, they don't know it's not possible to radically. So I push it to that. I say, but the material in the Bible, is it biblically possible that he reigned for now? They will say yes. How to run? Why is it that our own ancestors, you always find a way of discrediting them? Even if it is mystification, let's also say we have to accept it and push it through, because all what we read is read in the Bible. Many of them are also mystified, and you made us believe them. Maybe when you say somebody walk on the water, is it not mystification? So now, eventually when he was rebelled against, because he refused to die, so that they had to nickname him as Ogbobodirin. Ogbobodirin, that is the man who refused to die, sat on the throne and nearly became metal, nearly became iron metal. So they pushed him out of the throne. Unfortunately, this intellectual, he could not be succeeded easily because abomination had been committed. So they went to beg him where he was, that he should return to. He said no. Say, go and look for my blood to be on the throne. That's why his son Oba Lufon Alayimore. That's why some people tell you that, oh, Oba Lufon is the job at different times. No, one succeeded his own father. Alayimore succeeded Ogbobodirin. Now Alayimore is a contemporary of Oromiyan, who was at that time ruling in Oyo, because the sojourns of Oromiyan, various sojourns of Oromiyan, were actually administered by Oba Lufon, not Oduduwa. But Ugbayen, they refer to all people that are for the same, they refer to them as Oduduwa. That's why you have that conflict in this field. They say Oduduwa say Oduduwa, they will not be wondering that how long Oduduwa alone on the throne. No, they were not. It wasn't Oduduwa. when I like or some rubber market, they are still defining anything as any decision taken, they say Odu are taking decision. Ogun, who was the contemporary of Oba Oduduwa himself, was unknown. They will still refer to his name as Oduduwa. So when Alaimorena took over, Oromia was in Oyo at that time as the first Alaafin. It angered him that I can, because Alaim was a junior contemporary to him. How can Alaimori take over the throne? That he also had the right to that throne. So he left Oyo and then came to Ife to become the sixth Ooni of Ife. He actually, in fact, we recorded the first coup d'etat in this part of the world, in the whole world, because it was a palace coup. He staged the coup against, and that's why there are things there that we don't like to say in Ife. If it doesn't say everything, we say half and keep half. Because why? Because I believe we tabaka eru ni eru abaje. Tabaka eru. Sherry Oromia, it wasn't properly installed. It wasn't properly installed. He installed himself. He took over the government and said, okay. So all the necessary rights were not. That's why he didn't last. And his death was full of mysteries. So when he left, but he had gone out, he had become exposed, he had seen how to properly lead. He now established a dynasty. He had formed an accord with his chiefs that, you see, why do we continue to have bloodshed whenever there will be succession on the throne? Was because we have not streamlined into the blue blood. So let us streamline into the blue blood. So the blue blood coming on the throne actually started with Oromia's descendants. And that's why all of this, all of them were descendants of Oromia. It was able to establish that dynasty. And I think today they make the four ruling houses that produced Oni. I think about 3 of them came from Oromia lineage. I think Ladamison, Labugido, I'm very sure of Labugido and Ladamison. I think Aitise, they are Oromia children. So until he got to this Adilekon, it's very important I mention this. This is Odada first. Odada first, that's the grandfather of the president. Okay. Yes, sir. So now this was his uncle. When this man died, it was the turn of this man. But because as at the time he became his turn, he was no longer interested. He had been warming up, but the king refused to die. By the time the king died, he had lost interest, and he had taken another endeavor. He became a big warrior and hunter. So as at that time he had gone to establish a farm settlement called Okegbo today in Ondo State. So when he died, and if I called him, he said, "No, I'll go and pick my nephew." This was his nephew, who was a warrior under Latosa in Ibadan. He was a Latosa Mesa. So he now sent for his boy, his own nephew, to come and occupy. So that was why he didn't. Now, but unfortunately, this man didn't last long on the throne. He died, I think, maybe less than 5 years. So when he died, so if he now went back to him, that you can't come up really bad position. So they begged him to come and occupy the throne. And he now gave them one condition. He said, except you can allow me to govern Ife from here. So he was the first and the only Oni that ever governed from Ife. He combined Oni with that Oloko. He was ruling over 2 autonomous ceremonies. He was ruling as the king of Okegbo and at the same time king of Oni and the king of Ife. So when he left, Adile Kamsudu who was then living in another side. He was a farmer. He was into maize, corn mechanized farming. That's why I live around that place. I will see so many that they will say, the landowners are situated there. Kí ló kọ situated pẹ̀lú situated family sí ìtàlẹ̀ rẹ̀ dọ̀dọ̀ àti kí ló kọ situated wọ́n ní àwọn bàbá wọn ló wá dákú mẹ́ngbà yẹn. So when he became the king, I think around 1893. So in 1903, so before this era, time that when he got today, the white people are given recognition of the supreme Yoruba leader to another king. I've not mentioned the name of the king. They are given such recognition. They thought he was in overall, because they met one history that said that he was the one who was in charge of the army of Southwest and what have you, or Yoruba people and all that. So they gave up until 1903 when Epe Remo and Shagam Remo were contesting for supremacy of crown. And the colonial masters did all they could not resolve it until their subjects began to kill one another. So they ran to that king dimension that will you open your eyes and allow your children to start killing themselves? He said, what's the cause? He said, they want to know who has the authentic beaded crown. He said, well, let me be very honest. The only person that has the history of who owns the authentic beaded crown is Ooni. That time, Ooni was seen as a bushman because he was somebody that you could not see. When the white people wanted to bring development, they could not see a king, and they saw some kings who are ready to come out with them, hold meetings with them. They will of course recognize those ones. So the white people said, is that not bushman, that king, that family? He said, yes. He said, that is the man who gave all of us kings crown. So he actually referred the government, colonial government, to him. So when he came, he said, Baba, you must come and settle the matter unless your subject will finish killing themselves. He said, okay, we have a tradition here. He bent it for the first time for the peace of Remo and the Epe and Akaribu. So they sacrificed in accordance to his request. Necessary sacrifices were made and they went. So when he got to the meeting in Lagos, what he said that day became law. He pronounced that because then Akaribu, the newly crowned Akaribu, who was having issue with Elepe, was much younger. He was a young man. Akaribu was an aged man. That was why he didn't want to recognize him. He now said, àwọn olóńjà wọ́n ní Akaribu lórí kí lórí adé wá rẹ̀yìn ó ní kó sọ gbogbo yín ó ní bí Akaribu kó ti kéré kò sí bó ti kéré mọ́tò òun ló lórí rẹ̀ mọ́. It has something to do with the age of the occupant of the throne. It's about the stool itself. Akaribu will lead àwọn Remo kó n fẹ́ wá síbẹ̀ yẹn. So anybody from Remo is under Akaribu, and that's why today Akaribu is the paramount ruler of Remo. So I don't, because I'm feeling the heat of letting Prof go and sit. I'm already feeling the heat. Now, he left. Since that time, that was why government of Nigeria shifted recognition to him. So we have somebody that all the black people respect as their father without any contest. Now that they now made him everything was being. In Nigeria, not even in Yoruba land, in Nigeria, they now made him the #1 monarch. So he left and was succeeded by this man. What happened was that this man was the richest man in Ife. You know, if he has not been lucky, he was led by he was the most powerful person in Ife. Ajagun Ademili, what happened to my great grandfather? So he contested with this man. Adekola, Baba Aderemi, father of Aderemi, he contested with him. So he won, and Adekola was more. This was powerful, but wasn't popular. Not very rich, not really influential, but very popular. People loved him, so they made him the Ooni. But this man said, "Oh, this man will never wear that crown." Yes, he gave that threat that over his dead body would this man be king of Ife. So this man died in Ife. On the day he was to be crowned, the day he was to come out and be crowned, he died. That's why Ife now went and begged him, Ademili, to come and sit on the throne. By that time, he was already in Ekiti State. He had moved to Ekiti out of annoyance. He said he would come and beg him, and that's how he went to beg him. When you go to Ekiti today, you see a lot of Ademili is there. There is yes, sir. Then he was, when he now died, there was also a contest for the throne, who succeeded him. Then the Ife elders said, okay, this man, as a child now, who has become so influential in Nigeria, and this was why can't we, or they were at a point rooting for another person, until the then, maybe colonial government drew the attention to a prince doing well at the railway, that time railway corporation. It was good for him. Fortunately, he now happened to be the son of the man that was unjustly killed, quote and unquote. So that was why Adelemi became the Ooni of Ife, who now spent 50 years on the throne at the age of 40, and then died in 1980 at the age of 90. In 7 years after his enthronement, he built this edifice. And of course, you know that he used to be described as most powerful king in Africa. I mean, having combined the constitutional leadership with the constitutional, he was the only king that was so privileged. Then Suarez took over. We all know the history of Suarez. Then before our father, the president of me, now took over.
I tell you, when I have a personal interest in, when you have time, maybe you come to take a look at the carving which I have there.
Okay.
It's claimed to be a Balufon.
Okay, wow. Yes, sir. It's very interesting.
By somebody who wrote that. Take a look. The person from whom I got it very, very many years ago said it was a representation of Balufon.
Wow. Okay.
One or two, I don't know, but he said that. So you
yes,
take
sir.
a look
yes.
and see whether you remember your great.
Interesting. Like I know that. It's just like, you see, the population of Yoruba people today are not from one descendants.
No, absolutely.
Not all of us are children of Yoruba. Obalufon has his own descendant. Ogun has descendants. Obatala, so many clans in Yoruba land are children of Obatala. Around all of them have. Recently, Kabisi went to crown the king of Erinle.
Yes, in Kwara State.
In Kwara State, Erinle, beside Ofa. They are children of Obalufon. They are direct descendants of when Colonial sent that man out of the tomb, outside him, he now went and formed Erinle.
Very interesting to see if you've seen any other carving similar to that.
Then I forgot to show you the only woman on you. He gave us presidential chopper and actually sent out of blue.
Àlàyé máa dé agbára Olódùmarè bá ṣe rí lọ́dún yàtọ̀ tó rí lẹ́ẹ̀kan ẹ̀pẹ̀lẹ́ káàbọ̀ ẹ̀pẹ̀lẹ́ sàtọ̀.
Àwọn ni ìjó Gbàgbọ́sì ọba láàyè dáàbì traditional head of the Wole Soyinka.
Kábíyèsí o.
Sí dáadáa lẹ́wà.
Àdúgbò kábíyèsí.
Akọ ọjọ́ mẹ́ta. Bá a rí lẹ́ẹ̀kan ọdún àyípo. Ẹ̀pọ̀